everybody, and welcome to the High Performance Garden Show. We are on week 18 and this garden is really cruising. So we're here on an early summer morning to get our harvest in before the heat sets in for the day. And this garden for me is a source of sustenance for my family and a way to save us money. This garden gives so much to my family and I respect it and want to take good care of it because it takes good care of us. I can't think of a better way to spend 15 minutes a day. I plan on harvesting extra vegetables from my greenhouses to take to my extended family here in a few weeks. And I really enjoy sharing this amazing food with my family. So I hope you'll grow a garden and share some amazing food with your family. Okay, well we're going to get started because we got a lot of harvesting to do. And we're going to start right here with the tomatoes. And the first thing we're going to do is harvest. Look at these beauties. The tomato season is on. Now we don't want too many tomatoes because then now I would have to do some canning. But what I do want is enough to feed my family tomatoes for the week. So I'm looking for 2 to 3 pounds a week. That would give us enough slicers and a few dishes. I think we're going to get at least 2 pounds today. Okay, that one's not quite ready. This is our sucker. He's looking really good. Oh, and our little silly little cherry tomatoes. Almost like jelly bean tomatoes. But hey, they're tomatoes. We'll take them. They taste good. I've been snacking on them. So as I'm harvesting my tomatoes, I'm also looking for what? Bugs. Anything that might be chewing on my plants. So far we're looking pretty good. If you're getting tomato hornworms, you can use the BT. We don't typically get that very often in here. We will once in a while. Okay, wow, nice harvest. Looky there. Okay, next thing I want to do on our tomatoes is go ahead and get another clip on them. And I don't know if you noticed in addition to the garden this week, but I put in a couple flowers. These are lobelia. They're some of my favorites. They're just so iridescent blue, and I just love them. So it's good to have a few flowers in your garden. Okay. We're going to clip these up, and we're going to look for some suckers. And it looks like next week we'll start to lower these things. Sucker on this one? Yep. So once you get one of these gardens up and running, they pretty much are very simple to take care of. Oh, big sucker has a big sucker. Looky there. So our job as a gardener gets a lot easier once we're all planted up. So literally 15 minutes a day is all you'd need to make this much food. Okay, a few more clips. Okay, now I have the string is running in right against the tomatoes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unclip this lower clip. I'm just going to pull the plant away and around the string so that the string is running up the back side of the plant. If you'll notice, most of the fruit will hang on the same side of the plant, and then you can run your string up the other side. It just protects the fruit from getting knocked off. Okay. Now this string is tangled in the fruit. That's one thing about cherry tomatoes that makes it difficult. So I'm going to untangle this today. Because if I just pull this up, it's going to knock off all the fruit. Wow, tangle. It's definitely tangled. These strings will be important to us here in another week or so as we lean and lower these. Come on, little string. There we go. Okay, I just needed so I could clip this. Okay, got a sucker over here. right there, and a big one right there. Okay. Okay, we are going to feed these next week because our actual feeding schedule is for week 20, but we're going to feed on week 19 because we're going to be gone for week 20. So that's pretty much all I need to do with the tomatoes. It took more time to harvest than to clean them up, didn't it? Okay, we're going to move on down to the cabbage. Now, in the cabbage, we have some of these older leaves that are starting to turn pretty yellow, and I just want to clean that up. So I'm just going to come and bust these off. Feed these to the turkeys. Oh my gosh, do they love cabbage. And that just makes the garden look a little bit more neat and tidy. And we have our little miniature heads coming on. I had to harvest a head. There was a great big one right here midweek. It's our cafe, our farm-to-table cafe in town, had their 4th anniversary, and we always do a birthday celebration with our patrons. And my son Mike wanted to do a barbecue, and he needed extra cabbage because he invited a lot of people. So we sent a cabbage. It was 7.25 pounds out of this garden. So we'll record that on our numbers, but you're not actually going to see it. Okay, turkey food. Let's get a few more of these off of here. It says it's just nice just to clean up the garden a little bit. You're going to have a lot of people that want to come and visit. Okay, there we are. Now, we got one of our little mini heads. Remember, this was the first one that we harvested off of. And our first mini head is actually ready to harvest. There it is. Isn't that cute? So this plant's actually making 3 of these. Actually, each plant's going to make about 3 of these. And so that's your second crop off of your cabbage plants. So you don't even have to replant the plants. You can just harvest the second crop. And we have one more big head left. That's this guy. I'm going to go ahead and take it out. Okay, there we are. That is the end of the main head crops. And I see some more leaves that I want to take out. Now, if you wanted to, you could just take your cabbage plants out once you harvest that main head, but I do like to get the second set of heads. Okay, that looks pretty good. One more old leaf. Make sure you're spraying your BT so that you keep the cabbage loopers off. Other than that, they're looking great. I will feed these next week when we do our heavy feeders, just so that they can cruise through the summer a little easier. Okay, next, our perpetual offering of shigaiku. We get some every week. Okay, here's our shigaiku for the week. That's actually really amazing. I'm so pleased with these plants. This is the one that we let go to seed or flower so you guys could see it bloom. But what I want to do is put this plant back into production, and the way that I'm going to do that is to just whack it off. I cut it off about 6 inches tall. And what that's going to do is that's going to make it side branch, and it'll start producing just like the other ones again. The flowers were cool, but they're not that great. They're just okay. But we did get to see it. I'll feed this to the birds, and now that'll come again, and we can start harvesting from it again. Okay, we're getting a really nice collection for the birds today. Oh, and I see a few more right here in the carrots. Carrots are looking really good. Okay, now cucumbers, yay! Let's go ahead and harvest. We got a couple of them that are ready. There's one. 2, there's 3. Okay, now we got one right here. See if I get this where you can see it. The cucumber actually grew up instead of down, and it's now stuck in the clip. So I want to get that clip off. A couple of things can happen. The fruit, of course, gets choked, and or the clip gets broken. I don't really want either. I think the clip is stuck. Normally they grow down instead of up, so we're just going to break this thing off. See if we can rescue the clip, and we'll eat the cucumber. Okay, a little deeper. We're going to have to cut this thing out. This is pretty rare for this to happen, but it does happen, and if you do want to save your equipment, you do need to get the cucumber out. One time I had, well, I've told you the story of the carrots growing in my cinder blocks, busted my blocks. So you want to pay attention to this stuff. There we go. Okay. All right, there's a couple morsels. Okay, I'm going to put that clip back on, and hopefully the cucumbers, see, normally they grow down instead of up. Okay, so we were dealing with spider mites last week, and one of the things that you can do to help with the spider mites is take off any of the leaves that are getting spotty. So we're going to go ahead and clear a few of these. I can go to the birds too. I am looking at the tips to see what's the coloration coming on the tips. These are actually looking pretty clean. I did release some more predators. I went ahead and ordered double the amount that this garden would require. Whenever you got an invasion, you want to go ahead and double what you need. They'll tell you how much you need per square foot. And hopefully now we've gotten some control. I will keep watching them. But yeah, if we got this under control, that would be awesome. These will keep producing for us. They need some clips. Let me grab the clip bucket. You definitely want to keep your eye on these things, only because I know that spider mites are prevalent in this particular building. Okay. Now, like this guy, his tendrils are wrapped around the string, and it's like, oh, well, that should be enough to hold it. It actually isn't. When you get the weight of the fruit on there, the tendrils will rip and that'll fall down. So you definitely want to use your clips to hold your fruit up. Oh yeah, these guys are starting to grow. Okay. That's a good sign that the spider mites are under control. The spider mites suck the juice out of the plant, and they just make it kind of weak. Okay. That looks good. I'm going to look for any other leaves that I don't want. This vine is growing down. Typically, I'll trim these off if they're coming down at the bottom. I like to let them go up and over and then hang down. These are just suckers. Trim those off. Okay, I like that. All right, cucumbers done. We're going to feed those next week, and they will appreciate that. All right, on down to the squash. I've captured 6 more squash bugs during the week. I like to look for squash bugs every day. Every day you're in here, every time I come through, I just cruise through the plant and look for them. The squash bugs can give your plant a disease, and they can completely take it out. If that happens, I'll take the plant out and replant if we have enough time. But you want to keep them under control. So vigilance is going to be your best defense against squash bugs or baby turkeys. Now, if you got a bigger garden like we do, you can turn your baby turkeys in and they'll eat most of the squash bugs. Okay, it is time for a harvest. And we're going to get lots of zucchinis this week. Other zucchinis last week ended up at the cafe as well. The cafe is a very popular stop anymore. People are really coming through there. Okay, we got 2. Oh, there's a beauty. 3. So as I'm harvesting, I'm looking for squash bugs, squash bug eggs. You have to stay ahead of the game, because if they get ahead of you, you're going to lose your plants. Okay, I got my harvest. Now I'm going to go after squash bugs. I got some eggs here. And I'm not going to take the whole leaf off. I'm just going to pop out the little spot that has the eggs. And you want to turn all these leaves over. There's another little patch. Oop, that leaf wasn't attached. Okay. Take that leaf out, huh? And here's a leaf that's just kind of giving up the ghost, and that's good to take it out too. Keep our garden clean, neat and tidy. We had spider mites also on these. I can tell by the color change in the back side of the leaf. And so I put some extra spider mite predators also on the squash. And then I'm going to watch these inner leaves, the new leaves, because you can't like repair an old leaf. But I'm going to watch the new leaves to see if their color gets better. And if so, then we'll have the spider mite under control. And also on the bigger, older leaves, if they're really spider mitey, you could just take them out. Okay. This gets to be an interesting jar by the end of the season. It gets its own little funk. I don't use that jar for anything else. It just lives in the garden. Empty it out in the fall. And then I just leave it here because I don't want it back in my kitchen. Whew, okay, yeah, funk is happening. You know, maybe we could sell this for some expensive perfume or something. It's really powerful. Okay, I think the squash is done. We're going to feed this next week. And we'll just grab our harvest up here. We got about a dozen of these. And then we're going to head over to the broccoli. Okay, here we are in the broccoli. And guess what? Another amazing harvest. We're just going to go through these plants again. This garden just keeps putting out and putting out. It's so awesome. I have one broccoli here that I didn't get to soon enough, this guy. But these flowers are really tasty, so just eat them. Yeah, yum. One more. Oh, missed. So just because it doesn't look like what you would pick up at the grocery store doesn't mean you can't eat it. Everything on the broccoli plant is edible. You could take the leaves, chop them up for salad, you could steam them. You can eat the stems. The big main stalks, you can shred those for coleslaw. So yeah, just eat whatever you want to off of these things. Okay, this is exciting. I like the broccoli. And I like this variety. This is Pac-Man, and Pac-Man is really good at the side branches. And that's why I can keep it in the garden the entire season. Got a couple big old leaves. Feed them to the turkeys. Just kind of cleans up the bed a little bit. And we will definitely feed these next week. And then we'll go on vacation. I'm excited about that. I'm going to take a bunch of food from the farm to my family. It's nice when you grow extra because then you can share. And then you can tell your story. And then people can think about growing their own garden. Because people need to hear success stories about your garden. Because there's too many unsuccessful garden stories. So give them the success stories. Show them what you can do. Okay. That's it for the broccoli. That's another good meal. So thank you, broccoli. Make sure you're spraying your BT. As the night temperatures rise, the bugs hatch faster. And then as the night temperatures drop, then the bug cycle is actually slower. Spider mites, I think when the night temperatures are down around 40, it takes them 21 days to hatch. And when the night temperatures are up around 60, 65, I believe, it takes them 3 days to hatch. So as you peak through the summertime, your bug population could increase. So if you're spraying BT once a week and it's not quite enough, just go to twice a week, through the heat of the summer, then you can probably back off to once a week. So, know thy enemy. Study those bugs, see what their cycles are so that you can stay ahead of it. Okay, there's our broccoli. I was looking at our onions. The first one's about this big, and I'm just going to let those grow. Now, you can eat the onions at any time. If you needed an onion, you can come out and get one, but I'd like to see them a little bit bigger. So I'm going to leave them a little bit longer. Okay, the next thing we want is kale. And the kale here is growing quite well. Some more big, beautiful leaves. That's the perfect size. And the secret to that is planting them close together and picking them every week. Once a week we come out here. So the person that's going to babysit my garden is going to go ahead and harvest because I don't want things to get overgrown. We want to keep it under control. All right, here's our kale harvest. I mean, just this little bitty strip of kale. Look at that. That's probably close to 3/4 pound of kale, which is perfect for this week. So I am thrilled with that. Okay, BT for that to keep the cabbage worms off. Check for aphids, although in the heat of the summer, aphids are usually not a problem. They tend to go dormant. Okay, next, our Joy Choy. And look at these beautiful blossoms. These are snacks. A little bit tangier than the broccoli. The broccoli is a little sweeter, but still delicious. What I want to show you here is what we call an inchworm. This is a cabbage looper, and as you can see, he's eating a great big hole in my Joy Choy, and they just kind of hunch up and move along, but that's the enemy right there. So like I was saying, if you're starting to get a bunch of these, then you want to spray your BT twice a week so that you can get these guys under control. So I'm going to feed that one to my turkeys because it comes with extra protein today. Oh, they'll be so excited. You should see them. They'll get a worm and they'll run in the pen and the others will chase them. It's the best entertainment and it's totally free. Okay, I'm going to save that guy. All right, so the rest of this I'm going to harvest. Now, if you want to harvest your flowers, you can harvest them separately. And then you can throw them like into a stir fry. You put them in just at the last minute. You want to throw those in and eat them. Or you can just snack on them while you're out here in the garden because they're pretty delicious. I'm thinking next week we'll go ahead and pull the Joy Choy out. And then I'm just going to mulch this section. And then when we get back, I think I'll plant some more Joy Choy because this is my favorite breakfast food. Or the other choice is, this might be a wise choice, is to go ahead and start some seeds in a little tray. And I can keep those in the house and get them started. And then we could transplant out into the garden as opposed to putting in seed. And that would get us a couple weeks ahead. And I think the gal that's going to come and take care of my garden, she could easily water just a little tray of Joy Choy seeds. So if I can remember, I will go plant some today in preparation to know that in 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks, we're going to go ahead and pull these out. Let's see, it's going to be 3 weeks, isn't it? Because this is the 18th week, and it'll be the 21st week when we get back. I think we'll plant the Joy Choy seeds next week, because I think I only want them 2 weeks old when I transplant them. So that requires paper. I'm going to have to write myself a note. So I remember to plant that next week. Okay, look at this great harvest, week after week after week. Beautiful, beautiful plants. They take care of me and I take care of them. It's a nice relationship. All right, here is our choy choy for the week. There's probably 1.5 pounds there. This stuff is really heavy. Now if you're getting too much, go ahead and blanch it or go ahead and stir fry it just slightly so it turns bright green, and then cool it down, throw it in a bag, throw it in the freezer so you have it in the off season. The other thing I'm going to do today is I'm going to go ahead and harvest some of these flowers. And this can go into my stir fry just right at the last minute. You want to put these in just kind of almost as a garnish. And the other thing that I want to tell you about is these leaves that are coming on the flower stalk. They're smaller, but they're totally edible. So you can harvest all the way up the stalk. Unlike lettuce that gets really bitter, these leaves don't get bitter as they flower, so you'll be just fine. Okay, so that'll be just a tasty treat that we put in at the last minute in our stir fry this week. Okay, BT for that, because we've already seen the cabbage loopers, like I said, twice a week if they're getting out of control on you. Okay, and then we're going to come down here, we're going to get the Swiss chard. This stuff is looking great. I'm still on the hunt for a leaf miner. I'm not seeing any today, which is great, and I think part of the secret to that is us harvesting every week, so it doesn't have a chance to get established because we're continually picking the leaves off. Okay, here's our Swiss chard for the week. It's looking really, really good. When you pick them this small, they're very tender, and I love that about it. So they're pretty close to 1 pound, so it did really well this week. If your greens are struggling with the heat of the summer, do like we did with the lettuce and just put some shade cloth. So you could build an easy trellis, like just right over this section, and just lay some shade cloth over that, and that will help your greens get through the heat of the summer if you're in a really hot place. We have cooler nights here, so we tend to do pretty good with our greens. Although it will get, over 100 degrees in this building in the afternoon, so we get both extremes. Okay, so there's our Swiss chard. We're going to come on down here. This is our beets section. I started tying up some more of the squash. The squash is really getting with it. You put a few more clips on it. I want to just grow it up the string and then let it flop over and back down to the ground or wherever it wants to go. I'm going to pull out half the beets today, and then the other half of the beets I'm going to leave for next week because I just don't want that many in my kitchen at one time. And then we're just going to stand back because these squash are going to take over the entire thing, which is what I want. So we're going to keep clipping them up. Oh, what do I see here? Okay, right there, game on. Squash bug eggs. One of the nice things about growing vertical is you can really keep an eye on these things. I'll put that one in my pocket because my jar is far away. I go home with very strange things in my pockets. Okay. If you're looking for the actual squash bugs, they tend to like it hotter and they'll be out during the day. And if you're just hunting eggs, then you can hunt them anytime. You actually have a 3-week window typically. That will get shorter as your night temperatures are higher to get those eggs. And then the nymph stage, the little guys, you can get those as well. And you can actually take the nymphs out with some safer soap. And that's the baby squash bugs, the nymphs. Okay, these guys are really starting to get lengthy. Oh, there's some more eggs. More goodies for my pocket. God, I reached my coat pocket this morning and I felt it, and there was something round and squishy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's in my pocket? So I actually reached into the pocket, pulled it out, and it was 3 cherries because the cherry season is on. So I was glad it was cherries and not something weird. Okay, I see a squash bug, and it is hiding right there. That's what they look like. Hiding there in my clip. I don't want to squish it because it will stink to high heaven. So I'm going for the jar. Be right back. Okay, in the jar it goes. So he was hiding in the clip. That was interesting. course, it is warming up, so they're coming out. But, you know, it's a pretty good game. It's like, who's going to win? You or the squash bug? So you want to be vigilant. You want to cook them, put them out in the sun. And then we got this one growing on the ground here too. And you want to look on the back sides of it. But like I say, it's pretty easy when you can move them around, pick them up. Some eggs right there. Now this guy will grow into the ground. See right here? There's a root there, and I got a root here. So eventually we won't be able to pick it up because it's going to root to the ground. These guys in the air, they won't root to the ground. They'll keep their roots dormant. Okay, every leaf, every day. You just want to keep at it. It's just part of the game, part of being organic. Not willing to smother my food in chemicals. I'd rather just not grow any. So if I can't win organically, I'm not going to play. That's just my bottom line. Okay, I think we got the squash bugs. Let's get some beets. My basket. Ooh, look at that nice big one. Okay, about half of these are coming out. We got the other half next week, and then we're going to feed the squash and get this mulched, and then this will be ready for the babysitter to take care of it. I am seeing a little bit of leaf miner on the beets. Not too bad, but by us harvesting it, we'll pretty much eliminate that crop of leaf miner. Okay, beautiful. A few more. All right, this is going to work out perfect. The squash is going to want the space, and the beets are going to be done. So here's a little bit of leaf miner. Here's some more, and that's because we got older leaves in here. When we're harvesting like we are in the Swiss chard, we don't tend to get this. I see a squash bug. Got it. Ha. I have a party for you. See, they like to be in the ground when it's colder. Okay, there we are. All right, so we got our beets, we got our squash bugs, and next we're going to go ahead and take a look at the lettuce. Okay, here we are in the lettuce, and I'm just going to flip this cover off so we can work with the plants. The cover will make the leaves a little bit bigger because it cuts some of the light, but it'll also keep them tender, which is nice. This is the batch. Remember that we waited a week to take these out, and as you can see, we're right on the schedule. This guy is bolting. This is going to be really bitter. You don't want to harvest these leaves, but any of these that are not bolting we can harvest, and I'm going to take them out with the scissors because we're going to replant this, and then we're also going to replant on week 21. So it's every 3 weeks. So this batch is done. I'm going to stay away from the bitter one. It could go out to the chickens. They like it. Pigs like them too. Oh my gosh. The pigs go nuts over this stuff. The sheep, not so much. That one's going to bolt too. That one's going to be bitter. It's starting to come up, and I can see that the leaves are dull. But anyhow, when you harvest this stuff for the sheep, if it's got any dirt on it at all, they don't want it. They're a little fussy. But if it's just the tops, they would go for it. So they also don't like to step in mud. They're very prissy about mud. They'll do it if they have to. Okay, here's our harvested lettuce. We went ahead and harvested everything. So there's 3 pounds here, pretty close. I'll put that in the shade. And we're going to pull this section out and get it replanted. So we're going to pull it up. That soil, wow, look at those roots. Feed that to the chickens, or you can put it in your compost pile, whatever you want to do with it. Oh, there's a worm. That's a good sign. Means that we got our microbe population in a good place. I did notice a few earwigs in here today. Geez, these are long roots. That's good too. And if you're getting earwigs and roly-polies, you want to use a product called Sluggo Plus. And it's got the spinosad bacteria in it, and it will take out your roly-polies and your earwigs. So far I've seen a few. I don't feel like it's an overpopulation, so I'm not going to worry about it right now, but if it becomes a problem, I know what to do with it. I just need to be observant at this point. Okay, almost done. This is so quick, isn't it? Get these things flipped out here. It's so nice to work with a tiny garden because it's just not that much work. Like I say, I don't even break a sweat in this garden. No blisters, no rototillers. Okay, I have compost. We'll add some. Try to get like a 1/4 inch on everything. And I got my Happy Frog fruit and flower fertilizer. I'm going to put about 3-4 tablespoons on here. Okay, and we're just going to stir this in. Oh, got to get this one too. Smooth this over. Now I'm going to put lettuce seed in, but I'm going to put it in a little extra thick because of the heat. There's a chance that it won't germinate as well. I could germinate it in the house in a container if I wanted to and just transplant it in a few weeks. But I think I'm going to go ahead and risk it in the garden here. And then I'm going to mow the lawn a little bit later today. We had rain in the night, so the lawn is not where I can actually mow it right now. And then put some mulch over the top of this, just a really thin layer. Okay, I got my seed. A little bit of firecracker, that's that beautiful red. Yeah, I'm just going to draw some really thin lines because I want to put this in a little thicker today. I'm going to drop the seeds about every 1.5 inches, a couple seeds. And then we'll probably be doing some thinning. But the weather may thin it for us. Precious firecracker seed, the last bag that I have. But I have this plant back here that we're going to save the seed off of, and then I planted an entire section in my garden. So we can do the same out of it. That row, and that row. Put some over here too. Okay, and Tropicana, that is our green lettuce that I like. Okay, look at that. What, 5 minutes, 2 minutes? Not many minutes. We are replanted. Cover those seeds up. Like I say, I'm going to mow the lawn, put a light layer of mulch over it, and then we'll also have our shade cloth over this. We got to keep this moist, so I'm going to water it twice a day and get that to come up, and then it should be up and going by the time we leave on our vacation. So, okay, the garden is done. We're going to go ahead and take a look at our harvest. Okay, we went and weighed the harvest, but I had forgotten the carrots, so I snuck back in, got us a pound of carrots. They were gorgeous. But I wanted you guys to take a look at this pot. This is our firecracker. You can see it elongating. We're not harvesting a thing off of it. It is so gorgeous. It's going to come up in here. We're going to start getting seed probably, I would say, within 3 or 4 weeks. So we just keep it alive, keep it going, and that'll be our project for a little later. So okay, let's take a look at what we actually did harvest. Okay, our harvest this week was really, really good. For our kale, we had 0.6 pounds. For our Joy Choy, there was 1.5 pounds. That stuff is still cranking, even though it's blooming. Our Swiss chard, there was 1/2 pound. Our beets, 2.2 pounds. The beet greens, which are just as delicious, there was 1 pound. Our broccoli, there was 0.75 pounds. The shigaku, surprising to me, 0.36 pounds still. Our cabbage, we had 12 pounds, because remember we had the 7.25 pound head of cabbage that went to the cafe earlier this week, and then we had the little guy, the mini one, and then we had the bigger one, so 12 pounds of cabbage total. The zucchini is cranking it up, 9 pounds. The lettuce, 3.45 pounds, so that's a lot of lettuce. I will find some friends and I will share that around. That's why we are planting in little bitty sections of lettuce, because nobody needs 30 pounds of lettuce. It's too much to grow, too much to take care of, and way too much to eat. So at 3.5 pounds, I got plenty for my household and some to share with some friends. The carrots, I did grab a pound of carrots. There was 4 carrots. Cucumbers, 2.67 pounds. So cucumbers are just starting to kick in. And our tomatoes, there was 1.5 pounds of tomatoes. And those will disappear pretty quick because we're early in the tomato season. So our total for today was $130.38. And our year-to-date savings is $1,381.54. So this garden's really cranking it. So the garden gives us more than just amazing food. The 18th gift that my garden gives me is power. When I can grow enough food for my family, knowing that the grocery store is optional for us, I feel powerful. I can create sustenance that can sustain my life indefinitely, and that's powerful. I had a couple here this week that came to visit the farm, and they're both school teachers. And in part of their biology class, they asked their students where they would get food if the truck stopped rolling and the grocery store was empty. And the kids thought about it, and they came back with the answer of, we would just go to McDonald's. Oh boy, we have a lot to teach the next generation. So what I would like to ask you to do this week is to talk to some kids and see what their answers would be. Maybe our generation needs to step up and help to educate the next generation. Let's empower the next generation to learn to grow food so they can sustain their lives indefinitely if needed. The choice is up to us as to what we pass down to the next generation. This garden doesn't take much time, very many tools. It doesn't cost much to get it up and going. And I think our kids could give up 15 minutes of texting time to grow a few vegetables. So if you want to get them started, go to the What Can I Plant Today section of this website and look up your zone and read the list of plants that you can start today. And if you'd like to see this garden in person, I invite you to come visit. We are open for tours Thursday through Sunday from 1 to 6, May through October. And if you need some details or you got questions, you can go to our website, thelivingfarm.org, for details. So also, if you would like to eat some of this fabulous food that's going to our cafe, you can check out the menu at thelivingfarmcafe.com. So until next time, may your garden be easy, fun, productive, and always organic.